Now, before this video starts, if you want to win a copy of FM22, then subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video, and also comment below what your first save will be. We'll start doing our FM22 giveaways up to the build-up of November release. But before this video starts, if you guys will subscribe, like, and comment, enter the giveaway, and also helps the algorithm out massively. But this video is about the feature review or talk about, I guess, on YouTube. FM released a video, link in the description below. I talk about the new features on this sort of mini-series they're doing with James Alcott as the host, a great YouTuber and a great streamer as well of FM and all things football. Check him out as well. But yeah, we reviewed what our thoughts are on this feature list. But like I say, guys, enjoy the video, subscribe if you're around here, leave a like and comment. And let's go with it, shall we? Yeah, so basically, FM released on their own YouTube channel. You can watch it here on the FM YouTube channel. 90k subscribers, almost at 100k. They're not as big as some of the FM streamers, which I always kind of find quite funny. But 67,000 views, so not actually a lot of views compared to what it actually is, which is new headline features. Episode 1, so there should be more episodes of this. James Alcott was the host. Should I have a little watch? Because I've not seen any details really. I can skip the intro. Let's have the intro. It's 20 minutes long. Chat, should you watch it? Because I've not seen any details of FM, really, in detail stuff. The only thing we got so far was a teaser trailer thing. There was another one as well, both on my YouTube channel. I've reviewed both of those. You want to check it out. Little bit of self-promotion there. Too much time. What, 20 minutes? 20 minutes is not a long video. We can skip some stuff. I just want to see the data hub, and I want to see the match engine, and the wide centre-backs role. We can skip the outro. Let's have a look.
Hello and welcome to the one and only Sports Interactive Studio, the place where Football Manager is created each and every year. You'll notice that this is a shiny new office, a new space.
Don't care about the office, James. Sorry. I do not care about the office.
Then the studio.
Apart from the show.
Last time we spoke was in the middle of a pandemic.
Do we care about the FM Vision?
Of course, from FM21.
Where is the company? Why have they got Rapinoe's shirt on the back?
Changed, of
I have a decent.
The world has changed a lot, but what about the
company Alex Morgan or a Spurs player or Lee Williamson from Arsenal? Give us a good player.
We're very careful with the pandemic because
I don't really care about the pandemic. Can't lie. Let's look at the features.
By Johnny, the visualization director.
I want to see some good stuff. All right, I don't want to see them talking about pandemic. We've all been there for the last 2 years. I'm not really interested in seeing pandemic news. I know it's happened. Yeah, get a bit of Miedemar at the back. I don't know why Megan Rapinoe is so highly fought after in terms of football. Obviously, what she's done outside the football, fantastic. Inside the football, I think there's a lot better players that deserve more publicity than Megan Rapinoe does. And that's saying with someone who watches women's football. There are a lot better players out there.
Fascinated to first of all understand your role and then understand the process of.
I don't care about the process of making features. Sorry. Let's just skip to the data hub.
It's time to talk about one of the headline features.
Here we go, James. Give me some info.
The data hub.
He looks about 12.
Kind of is. Elliot,
nice
the
shoes.
junior software
nice
engineer, joins me.
He's getting paid
right
a nice
now,
amount.
And you played a huge part in the sort of the next stage of bringing in analytics to the next level that happened in FM21 with.
Xavi's shirt in the background. Yeah, they've got Stuart Pearce. Well, I assume it's Stuart Pearce. I can't imagine it being another Pearce. Modric, Neuer, Xavi, Rapinoe, Cannavaro, and Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale is an interesting one. There must be someone at Sports Interactive that's a Spurs fan. Unless he's been to the offices. Maybe there are some of them are signed. They are signed. So maybe he's been to the offices or has done something with FM.
With XG. How does it go
XG,
beyond that
classic.
this year with the data hub?
So the introduction of XG and the analytics stuff we did last year was pretty big for us.
So this was last year's game.
We think that kind of Football Manager is quite important.
No, this is this year's game, actually. This is work in progress in the bottom right. So this looks kind of identical to last year's, am I correct in saying that? That's last year's by the looks of it.
For us, we think that kind of Football Manager is quite important.
But that's this year's. This is this year's. That's a screenshot from the trailer, I think, or very similar to.
For how people in like the community in general view sports and like statistics. And we saw a big uptake. We saw a lot of people really liking what we did with XG. we wanted to really push on this because we think it's important not just for the fans and not just, I don't know, for representing reality, but because of our aim to kind of make Football Manager an accurate representation of what being a manager at a football club is like.
I was going to say something offensive, but I think I'll leave that.
Football clubs, we know kind of the perception of what football.
I mean, I'm not one to talk. Right? I mean, look, I'm not one to talk, but his arms are very skinny. Arthur, thank you for the follow. Massively appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? Welcome in.
That these data teams and analytics in general are very, very important for the function of.
We love having 4xG and losing 1-0. Don't we all?
People credit analysts in interviews. People talk about the fact that they're making these marginal gains. And we wanted to be able to,
thank you much.
to push
appreciate
that
it.
and make sure that our users are getting a similar experience.
So what I loved when I was looking at the Data Hub was, like you say, that sort of painting of pictures that can allow you to sort of take in.
I do feel like
so if we go on to
with the issue of data on games, right? The issue of data on games, and I'll say this with FIFA this year, with XG, everything. Maybe it's useful for FM because FM is a simulator game, and obviously data for simulations is useful. But in games in general, or if you're like me, where you're not really that much into the finer details of things, and you're not really analysing data, the data is going to be there to make you really annoyed. Like if you're losing a game 2-1 and you have 9xG and they have a 1xG, the data's not useful to you. It's just making you really annoyed. Obviously, if you get more detail and go into the data more, it can become useful. But from a normal person's perspective, data just annoys me on games because it's one of those things where it's going to make you more annoyed than if it's not there. I get why it's there, but I'm hoping it's not just more stats that make you want to punch the monitor and get really angry. Arthur, I'm doing well. How are you? Welcome back to the stream.
What features are we going to see during the game, and how can they help us? Which new elements will we see?
Oh, new elements. Have a look.
So we've introduced momentum,
Momentum.
which gives you a kind of perception of the flow of a match.
Right, okay.
It might give you information about this team has been performing particularly well in these time periods.
So it's not like FIFA momentum, where it changes the course of the game. This is just data of who's in control at certain periods of times.
You've had a load of shots, you've had a load of touches in the final third, this sort of stuff. This gives you a way of diagnosing like match performance that's agnostic from result.
And I really like this one, by the way, because I did, people know who've ever seen me play FM, I can tinker on occasion.
I've seen you play FM, James. Great streamer, great YouTuber.
I made a couple of changes when I played the game, and it started to go awry, and I was like, oh, okay, you can kind of learn as a player within the game that don't do that, don't make those changes, or be careful in how you make those changes. So that's why.
I wonder if that data, though, if that data is only available after a game or during a game. Because if you can see data that you're being overrun, you might bring on somebody to change the game. If you see it after the game, it's great for hindsight, but not as good.
There's another thing obviously they've always been in the game, but we've made some improvements to pass maps. So as you talk about systems, you talk about tweaks, you'll be able to see in
just
much more detail,
graphic,
much more
really,
intuitively, the way that game's played out between your players. You might see, okay, my centre-backs have been circulating the ball between each other really well, but they're not getting the ball at the pitch now because there's a strong line between them. And it's just giving users more ways of diagnosing what's going wrong with
if they make this data more accessible to look at, it's accessible for everyone, but if they make it more accessible to look at, aka make it easier to understand what's going on. Like the pass maps are silly because it's the same line over and over again. You wouldn't know how many there were, but now they've changed it to frequency. So if you see at the bottom here,
more intuitive. Been in the game, but we've made some improvements to pass map.
On the bottom here, different colours are for frequent, fairly frequent, very frequent, and rare. So you can see clearly where the main passes are coming. That's better because you can actually use that data without being a massive data person. You can tell, right, he's passing far too much to my right back. Or you need to target other areas of the pitch. That's good because it makes it simple to use, and you want data to be simple to use because otherwise it's not going to be appealable to half the audience. Essentially, Data Hub is something I never click on. It depends, because if it makes it nice and accessible and useful to a normal person, then obviously you'll use it. If it's like a whole load of jargon, no generic person will use it.
Maps.
I think I know that because they're They've done this game for years.
Giving users more ways of diagnosing what's going wrong with their team or going really well without having to dig into like huge repositories.
Nice Yeezys has got. I mentioned that.
And with so much data in the data hub, some people will want to kind of look at it on face value. Some people want even more. Is that an element that you've kind of featured in this time round?
Yeah, so we've tried to make sure that we cover all bases. We've got this ask for system where users can literally ask their analysts.
Got to say, from a camera perspective, it's a very nice set. I do like the shirts in the background. I like a nicer set behind me, like a nice focus camera that the background will be out of focus.
But we've also added a few different
just to make me look crisp.
Dig into like specific information about maybe like a metric you really care about. You care about how well you defend.
Do I care about headers? It's all subjective.
Graph about heading shows you where your players are. Know straight away how well they're doing. There's also stuff like zone map information, so it breaks down the pitch and it shows you how frequently you're doing things in different areas.
Stuff like this, if it isn't really explained, most people won't look at it. That's the issue.
It's just ways of turning existing large amounts of data into something that someone can actually learn something from and make changes, because that's what we care about. We care about users, like you say, being able to tinker, being able to learn from seeing all this information that can be quite overwhelming. We want to turn it into something intuitive.
So you now know the right information. Now it's time to talk about your team on the pitch.
Right, this is
by Nick,
the match engine.
Ooh. Everything around the all-important match engine. Yeah. For those few people that don't understand the kind of breakdown, I guess, of what the match engine is, first of all, could you describe that to me?
Yeah, of course. So the match engine itself is a realistic simulation of football. So we're trying to simulate.
This is the man that's in charge of goalkeepers making loads of mistakes.
The game as it is with 22 players making decisions on the pitch and trying to balance that against what the real world conceives as football.
So let's talk about FM22. This year specifically, how is it moving on? There are a few elements here that I'm privy to, which is amazing, and I'd love you to explain them to me in a bit more detail. So first of all, dribbling. How has that changed in the match engine?
For the number of cycles, we've actually been working behind the scenes to bring a new animation engine to life. So we'll be debuting our new animation engine in FM22. Our old animation engine, whilst was important
this
for
is last year's
of improving the 3D elements of the game.
This is previously.
So our old animations, they were lumped on.
Where's this year's stuff? I want to see it. Hopefully show it.
But our new animation engine gives us a lot more freedom. The players aren't restricted to the movement of the disc.
Or was that this year's? It says work in progress in the bottom right. It must be this year. No, it is this year's. Let me go back. The fact that I thought it was last year's.
Our old animation engine, whilst was important for our growth of improving the 3D.
I will be honest, it doesn't look much different, but this is still a work in progress. It doesn't look any different. But this isn't a complaint. I just can't physically tell it because I'm not playing it. These are like 10-second screenshots. So I'm not going to criticise it. I think any new engine addition is good.
Which is really important to get them in situations to make touches of the ball even look even more realistic. So we've got this overall vision to make football believable and authentic.
Nice little bit of a
eradicate foot sliding.
Bit of a Ronaldo chop there.
Really worked hard on this year is that element of the player touching the ball. If you had seen it in actually previous versions of the game, the player doesn't actually touch the ball
Noble at full
as
sprint
succinctly as it does now, and that's our foundation.
that was literally Mark Noble at full sprint.
Yeah. Previous versions of the game, the player doesn't actually touch the ball as succinctly as it does now. And that's our foundations. Our new animation engines are foundations for growing going forward. But just because we've improved the visuals, we also had to improve the AI and the decision of when to dribble, when to not dribble, when to turn, for example. So they might be dribbling around a rabbit hole, might need to turn, get out of trouble, use those fine-looking motion capture animations that we got for turns and dribbles and cuts to then play it backwards. So
it's so lovely to see you so excited about it. This is fantastic. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's stick with defence then.
So that's the thing with FM, right? Sports Interactive. They see so much more knowledgeable and like excited than EA and FIFA, who just come out with a load of rubbish and use loads of keywords to like tick boxes. They actually kind of know what they're doing, which is why I have faith in these.
Pressing. pressing is again becoming that little bit more intelligent.
Gegenpress,
right?
OP,
Yeah,
as
so,
always.
We've overhauled the pressing system and added triggers, which is the most important element.
Daniel, welcome back to stream. How are we doing?
So,
Welcome.
Within the instructions that you had in the game already, so like your line of engagement, your defensive line, where you want to show players either down the line or inside.
You can pick where to show players. Lovely.
The players then
Moxley, welcome to the stream. How you doing? Welcome.
Also, the best element of the pressing this year, for me, is that players now, based off their stamina, they have the concept of their sprint capacity. So they know when they can press, when they can't.
High stamina players will be useful this year.
Plug and play
or more useful.
Press system is going to be a thing of the past. You really need to know that you've got the right players, so your recruitment's going to be key. You want players with obviously good stamina to fit in those systems, and also your training, your work on the pitch in the training field is going to be really important to then transition into that match environment.
I was fortunate enough to have a little.
What's that? Would you rather EA make FM and FM make FIFA, or the way it is now? It's all about budget. If FM had the budget of FIFA, FM would be the best game. If EA had the knowledge and passion of FM, then FIFA would be the best game. One's got the budget, one's got the knowledge and the ideas. That's what it seems like. And the FM aren't after grabbing your money. EA are, because they're a massive global corporation. It's always how it's going to be. I think both games are great, personally. Well, FIFA's FIFA. You know what to expect, really, don't you?
I felt it myself, my beloved QPR. We were doing well in the first half. I think we overpressed a little bit, and then the guys were struggling in the second half, and we ended up drawing.
But good question, DB. Good question. What about you?
Are much greater. And in terms of the stamina of the players...
That's a very good question. Would you rather EA make FM and FM make FIFA, or the way it is now? That's a good question.
That's going to affect the passing and the first touch and all those elements as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to affect their accuracy of either what they can perform, either because we actually this cycle we've also overhauled our accuracy as well.
So low stamina and a high press will be painful.
And inaccuracy into elements of like passing, shots, first touch. We've improved those elements because we felt like realistically we weren't simulating overhit passes very well. We weren't simulating poor first touches again to link it into our pressing. And so there's all those.
I don't like the addition. I get why it's in there, but I don't like the addition of imperfections on a game you can't really control outside of picking what players you have. Like if your player makes a stupid mistake because he's tired, I guess you can make subs. But it's that edge where it's like out of your control that could become really bad.
There's elements that we needed to improve. So we were like,
does that make sense?
Let's do it all in one go. Let's improve the whole so that we can get those little intricate details.
So there's loads of different elements within the match engine which have been improved, but there's a brand new role as well in the defence. Three centre-backs has been very, very popular over the last few years, but in particular, I think, over the last 18 months. And there's a new wide centre-back role. Tell us about that.
New role.
It's going to be a really, really enjoyable role for our fans. They've been wanting this for a while. And we could have rushed it in and we could have just put in a role, but that really is never our intention. Like we want to simulate.
That's the difference. That's the difference. They don't want to rush things. They want it to be good. Other companies stick it out because the fans want it.
The role accurately. And so we wanted to see it and watch it.
So the wide centre-back has the defend, support and attack role. Attack duty, wide centre-back is willing to make regular overlapping and underlapping runs to create 2v1 situations. Also has a higher tendency to dribble with the ball. Wonder if you can customise that to make a wide centre-back only underlap rather than overlap. Obviously it doesn't really make sense, but I wonder if you could.
In different sort of systems and setups, and like we've seen the evolution of the role, and like managers have been so creative with how they've used their wide centre backs. So we've added that realism with different duties as well to suit whatever tactical style that
I like it.
you want to
Can be
perform.
fun. Could be overpowered.
It isn't just the role itself. That role, it performs a number of duties. It attacks, so it overlaps and it underlaps. And previously, in like iterations of the game, we have those instructions of underlap and overlap, but they're saved for your fullbacks, for your wing backs, for your inverted wingers, for your wingers. They're not necessarily used for your centre-backs. So for us, it was about modifying those tactical instructions and making sure that we not only included the centre-back in there.
This is centre-back here.
How does your full-back or wing-back move?
Oh, that's him up there.
Of that centre-back. How does the players in front of them move? How do the players behind them?
Oh, Jesus.
Like
Okay.
Midfielder, how does that move? And how does that cover for that player?
So he'll need decent crossing.
It was about the movement of the player
ideally
on the ball, what they do with it, movement of them off the ball. Where are they when you lose the ball? That's going to be fundamental for the whole system, and it's up to us to do a bit more education as well of how you could use that in the system, because there's going to be a lot of managers as soon as this game goes out where they're going to go, right, I want both my wide centre backs both on attack duty, and they're going to go forward. If they don't have a DM in there, then there's going to be no cover, and they're just going to get hit on the counter. So it's also about us doing it right, and this is one role that the system needs to be supported around it.
That's it for today. Great to get an insight into the changes to the match.
You know what? Looking forward to it. Could be a good. I'm thinking already Aaron Cresswell. I'm thinking Aaron Cresswell wide centre back and West Ham save, chat. And about you? I'm thinking of a nice West Ham save, wide centre back, Aaron Cresswell on the left. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.